It is actually over. Logan Paul's defamation lawsuit against Coffeezilla has officially settled, or is in the process and closing out settling. Unfortunately, this is not settling in some very exciting way in either, I guess like Logan Paul winning or Coffeezilla winning, but they're settling out of court. Coffeezilla has deleted a couple of tweets, a couple of videos. I'm going to show you guys, to the best of my knowledge, which ones those were, and kind of go over that initial context again for why we're even here in the first place, because there are a lot of Coffeezilla's videos that are still up about the Logan Paul CryptoZoo scam. Of course, though, right before we jump in, if you could just quick scroll down, leave this video a thumbs up, perchance a hype, it just really helps out the video. And while you're down there, consider subscribing. I'm sure you'll just see my videos pop up anyway, but helps me out a ton. And regardless of if you do any of that, just thank you for watching. Now, if we jump over to Court Listener here, I'll leave a link in the description to this specific document if you guys would like it. They were kind of going back and forth about people showing up in person, things like that. And then it culminated with this document here, Order for Dismissal Papers. On July 13th, 2026, the court was advised that this case has settled. Accordingly, it is hereby ordered that the party shall submit a stipulation of dismissal or agreed judgment and any appropriate supporting documents on or before Friday, August 14th, 2026. The parties are unable to submit those documents by that date, et cetera, it has to be for a good reason, whatever. All pretrial deadlines in this case are hereby stayed pending the submission of the parties' stipulation of dismissal or agreed judgment. So essentially, none of the other shit matters because the case is being dismissed. Any motions pending in this action are denied as moot, but they are still subject to re-urging should the settlement fail. So if it doesn't go through, maybe that won't be the case. And then the court hereby administratively closes this case pending the filing of dismissal papers. If the parties wish to reopen this case, they may do so by filing a motion to that effect. And this is Logan Paul's joint stipulation of dismissal with prejudice. And we can see here, I don't know a ton of the lawyers speak, but I do understand this bit at the end here. The parties stipulate to the dismissal of this action with prejudice, with each party to bear their own attorney's fees and costs. So the lawyers win here. Now, taking a look here, I have not seen Coffeezilla's papers or, stipulation for dismissal, whatever the exact words are for it yet. I'm assuming that will be coming forward as well. Now, when a case dismisses like this, usually we don't get to know a lot of what those stipulations for the case settling were, who is getting paid what, anything like that. But it does appear that at least as a part of this, case settling, Coffeezilla has agreed to delete some of his videos and some of his tweets. There's a video that is a bit longer than the one that I'm making here that goes into a bit more detail by a guy named Scott Schaefer. Like I said, his video does a great job of going over everything. But the reason I bring his video up is he also drew attention to this fact. If we go over to Coffeezilla's channel, we go to his playlist of investigating CryptoZoo, you can see 2 unavailable videos are hidden. Now, the reason that I bring up Scott Schaefer's videos because he does a good job of explaining why the videos that Coffeezilla removed were removed. And that's because those were the ones that were actually associated with the lawsuit, being that the way that defamation works, you have a year after the alleged defamatory claims are made for you to file your defamation case against it. It's a statute of limitations. Now, it appears that not only these 2 videos, which I can show you here based on the names of them, I was able to find them here. So Coffeezilla's Logan Paul scam isn't over video, as well as Logan Paul's refund video. These both fell into that year threshold that allowed Logan Paul to sue him for the claims that he made in these videos. And then in addition to those 2 videos, there were also tweets like this one: Logan Paul really is the type of dude to thank you when you expose a scam, then block you when you remind him to pay up. This is one of the only ones I was able to confirm to, looking it up, trying to find it. Other people on Coffeezilla's Reddit have also noticed that that tweet specifically has been deleted. Now, in regard to that context, I want to show you guys a part of Scott's video. I'll put a link down in the description for it, so huge shout out to him. But he shows the context for when these, tweets and videos from Coffeezilla had arisen, and it was that in-between time when Logan Paul told Coffeezilla that he was going to, sue him and that he should lawyer up and he'll see him in court. And then he got clowned on for this video and then immediately backtracked and apologized and then thanked Coffeezilla, which is referenced in that tweet from Coffee, saying thank you so much for holding me accountable or shit like that. It almost seems like, looking back now, that it was almost a setup for a trap to get him to say more things so that he could postpone sending out that defamation case. I think a lot of people, including myself, are, under the belief that he wanted to sue Coffeezilla over his original 3-part series that he had made on it. But of course, again, he had waited too long. But with all that being said, here's the clips that I'm talking about.
I got everything stolen from me and our community, stopped promoting publicly as soon as I knew the extent of the internal issues, took all of the heat on social, and you still published a defamatory hit piece fully knowing I was innocent just so you could enrich yourself in your $10 million studio. Sharp, but deeply unethical, dangerously misleading, and illegal. I suggest you use the money you got from pumping your Patreon to hire a good lawyer. You're gonna need it. We're gonna handle this ourselves while we continue to build CryptoZoo, and I'll see you in court.
Now, after he put out that video, the internet collectively clowned on Logan Paul, and Logan Paul ultimately decided to back down. He took down the video saying he would sue Coffeezilla, put out a new video thanking Coffeezilla for investigating and saying that he was going to do everything to make it right by people who lost money with CryptoZoo.
Coffeezilla is not a criminal. I called him, I apologized. My initial response to his series was that of fire, an ego flare, whatever it is, pride. I'm a fighter at heart, and I was defensive because I know I never scammed anyone with this project. I never made any money, never sold any tokens, and I only had the best intentions going in. But the fact is that suing Coffeezilla is not going to help CryptoZoo holders, so I do need to focus my attention where it should be, which is on fans and supporters of me. You guys mean the world to me, so I'd like to announce my 3-step plan moving forward. I appreciate your guys' patience while we do our internal investigation, and I promise to be transparent and disclose any information we find out in the process. And lastly, thank you, Coffeezilla. You have catalyzed this, and I am very grateful for your work and your investigation. And I mean that. Thank you, bro.
Nice little reminder for how cringy and terrible Logan handled it, and then immediately walking back the "I'm not going to sue you" thing with suing him. Now, to kind of bring this all together and talk about what the settlement means, it doesn't mean a whole lot because it's a settlement. Coffeezilla removing those videos is not because, you know, in the settlement, Logan has won. Although I guess you can kind of look at it that way because it really looked like Coffeezilla had a good case to, you know, shut him down with. But settling just means settling. You're not finding out if the defamatory claims were true, if they were actually defamatory, or if they weren't. And Logan Paul, like he admitted in DMs that got leaked during this court process, was just doing this to financially burden Coffeezilla. And so Logan Paul responds, "That's the idea. Need to shut it down." And then his friend says, "Public humiliation is always more effective." To which Logan Paul says, "I totally agree." Now, this is the big one. Logan Paul says in regard to the lawsuit with Coffeezilla that he's suing Coffeezilla just to make his life difficult, which, I mean, seems like he's succeeded in that endeavor as they are settling out of court. This simply means that, you know, instead of having to go through the rigmarole and the drawn out process that Logan is planning on doing here and has said it effectively, they would just rather be done with it and cut the losses. And effectively, you know, the lawyers win. They make a shit ton of money. Nobody really else does. And it really did just become a financial burden to Coffee. It sucks that he had to delete his extra videos, but he didn't have to delete the huge 3-part series that really blew the whole thing up with CryptoZoo, which I'm very happy to see is still up. But again, this is also just very realistic. Coffeezilla is very well off, but comparatively to Logan, he didn't stand a chance if this was just going band for band through the court system. I was hoping that maybe with some of the messages that were, you know, leaked early on in the court case, that there may have been more leniency on behalf of, you know, the court for Coffeezilla, seeing what Logan Paul's intentions were, at least in his messages. But obviously, I do not know the legal system well enough to know how that would actually impact it, or if it would even be allowed to impact the case. If there are somehow any lawyers watching this, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it, as well as, I guess, anybody else with how this has culminated. It is a bummer that we don't get to see it to its end, because I really do think that Coffee had a strong lead here. It just came down to that financial burden. And I'm hopeful that at the very least, Coffeezilla may get to say something about the matter or something along those lines with the settlement agreement. But until I see Coffee's side of things being submitted, and I don't even know if that would be included in the settlement proceedings that will show up on Court Listener, what he is allowed to say or what he isn't allowed to say now that this is wrapped up. Scott Schaefer points this out a lot, and he's also apparently had this idea that this was going to settle pretty much no matter what, because that's just kind of how lawsuits go. It is just a band for band contest, and the writing was on the wall at the start for Scott, and it makes the most sense. I guess the moral of the story is, in case you somehow forgot it, the court system is very pay to win, or at the very least pay to draw it out long enough that no one wants to fight you. That's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to leave it a thumbs up, subscribe, or whatever. Do what you want. I'm not your dad. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Adios. Peace. Bye.